Hi, my name's Phil. I like to talk about politics. So I'm going to be discussing party politics today. New political parties on the populist left and right seem to be forming, but let's look at the left first. So Jeremy Corbyn and Zarah Sultana are apparently to co-lead a new party designed to be an alternative to Labour. And in this video, I'd like to not only say why I support the idea, but also look at why I think they're not just joining the Green Party instead. But first, for daily news and politics, please click the subscribe button to stay notified. So there's to be a new populist party on the left. We don't know what it's to be called yet because there are no definite plans to form it. They haven't actually been finalised and agreed, so we might have to call it the Tanky Party for now. Now, some people will look at this and think, oh, great, it's just going to split the left-wing vote even more. And sure, all my life, the left-wing vote has been split, allowing the Conservatives to reign supreme almost all the time as nobody challenged them on the right. The Conservatives spent generations taking right-wing votes for granted and just focusing on winning the centre, whereas Labour had to fight the centre as well as the left, basically all policy platforms. So just as we finally start to see the right-wing vote split, look at the Conservatives going, oh, how do you like it then? We also see the left deciding to split even more. However, that is not a reason to attack Corbyn, Sultana and anyone else involved in this possible new venture. There might be other reasons to attack the venture, which I'll come to, but I don't think this is one of them. The reason that a new party on the left will split the vote and just help Reform UK win more seats at the election, whilst possibly true, is the fault of our electoral system. We have a first-past-the-post system, which means that the winning candidate in any given contest is just the one who wins more votes than anyone else. So if you imagine a contest between two broad groups of voters, on the left and the right, then the more credible candidates that are chasing one of those groups, the easier you're making it for a candidate chasing the other group to win. But that is a feature of our electoral system. It's what basically encourages uncompromising types to make bigger enemies of people who are close to them, but not perfectly aligned, than the ones with whom they have almost nothing in common. I've seen it all my life. People on the hard left who spend so much time attacking others on the left that they barely had time to complain about the right wing casually dismantling the country. Like, you notice the hard left cannot even get behind Mamdani in New York. Why? Because he's not extreme enough for them, right? But this is the fault of the system we have. Two left-wing parties need to beat each other to roughly the same group of voters. They're not really competing for the far-right votes. So when they're focused on elections, they're not really seeing the Conservatives as their main rivals. So you have this mad situation where, electorally speaking, those two parties, which are aligned on a lot of issues, just not all, are opponents because they're chasing after largely the same votes. And the right-wing party, with whom they both have little in common policy-wise, are not seen as such big rivals. And because a first-past-the-post is a winner-takes-all situation, there's little need to work together. Whereas, if we had a proportional system for our elections, then here's how it would work out. So because seats would be awarded much more closely in proportion to popular vote, you'd have a collection of parties on the left and a collection of parties on the right. You have the Lib Dems in the middle. So a coalition would be required. This would mean that if the left wanted to govern, they'd have to work together. They would still be competing with one another for crossover votes during election campaigns. That will never go away. But an election campaign doesn't last anywhere near as long as a full parliamentary term. So the vast majority of the time, they'd be encouraged to work with those who are aligned on more things, right? So although it's natural to roll your eyes and bemoan a further splitting of the vote, which makes a right-wing government more likely, this move should really highlight the failure of our electoral system. Indeed, the detailed video on the problems of our electoral system, which I did recently, talked about how the system isn't just unfair, but actually broken. And the fact that we've had a new populist left-wing and new populist right-wing party sort of emerging this week is just another sign of that breaking system. The number of people who support the current system is now too low to sustain it. The reason why these small groups are going to start to splinter off is because it used to be the case in the past when it would either be Labour or the Conservatives winning, right? So if you wanted any sniff of power, you had to be in one or other of those two. Whereas now you can win a significant amount of influence with a much smaller share of the vote. So there's less need to accept not that these people did accept any responsibilities, but there's less need to accept the responsibilities of a broad church where you're going to disagree on a few things. So we should not be surprised to see new parties emerging, quite frankly. Change the system to one which will restore faith in politics. Like Labour have already officially accepted that first past the post creates political distrust and alienation. That's their words. They've also said that the new system should be designed by the people. So set up people's assemblies to look at the system, come up with a suitable alternative, then put it to a referendum. Job done. Now, in terms of my thoughts about the formation of this maybe Tanky Party, I have a couple of specific ones. The first, I've said for years, and going back well before I ever started discussing politics on YouTube, I absolutely deplore people using political parties for their own personal platform. The likes of Jeremy Corbyn, Zarah Sultana, they've never been Labour. You know, you think to it, oh, but Phil, no, they're just criticising the bad policies. Okay, so why aren't they promoting the good ones? Are they saying they're opposed to the new workers' rights coming online? They're all about the workers, aren't they? Why aren't they promoting the workers' rights? Oh, because they're not interested. Social housing, they like social housing. Why aren't they promoting all the boost for social housing? Because they're not interested. Labour have actually been nationalising quite a bit. There's more nationalisation gone on than any time in my lifetime. Why aren't they going, oh, well, we wish you did more, but at least this is good? No, there's none of that. There's none of those things. You only have to look at their social media feeds, even when they were members of the party, to see them spending, you look at their feeds and they're spending all their time attacking Labour. Almost, occasionally they remember they're supposed to attack the Conservatives, but if you look at their feed, almost all of it is an attack against Labour. And it's like, oh, but that's only for the bad policies. So why aren't they promoting the good ones? No, I'm sorry. A Labour MP who attacks their own party more than any other is not Labour, right? You cannot blame the current leadership because it's how they've been under every leadership except their own. My standard, and when they were in charge, they demanded absolute loyalty from everyone else, right? I don't care if you disagree on this thing, you're going to agree with every policy to the nth degree. That's their attitude. So no, the hypocrites, go away. Thank you very much. My standard response to these MPs is always, nobody forces you to stand for a party. You have the option to stand independently or join another party. But of course, they wanted the party to pay for their election and their campaign, but refused to accept the responsibility of promoting the party in return, even on the stuff they agree with or claim to agree with. So I fully support people like this leaving Labour to form their own party. There are a few others I think should do the same. Mind you, they may have to be careful joining this new party. See, the problem with political groups where you are expected to agree on absolutely everything to the nth degree is that they always end up splitting into more and more groups. Basically, they are like the Judean People's Front, are they? Or is it the People's Front of Judea? Or, well, you get the idea. Of course, some may wonder why they're forming a new party, especially when not everyone has even agreed to do that, rather than just join the Green Party. After all, if you believe what you see on social media, the Corbynites think that the Greens are the real left-wing party. We just joined the Greens. That's where a load of them left after the election. Well, I think there are a couple of possibilities there. First of all, Corbyn and Sultana are tankies, as I say. That is, they are aggressively anti-West. They support all military campaigns by anti-West governments, even when it involves phosphor bombing your own people. They just don't talk about that much. And aggressively oppose Western-backed campaigns, even when it's for the literal defence of their existence, such as in Ukraine or Kosovo. So the Green Party aren't extreme enough for them. And it's not an area they're willing to compromise on. This is their big thing. See, if you look at their extracurricular activities, it's like, okay, sure, they can post a few tweets about taxing the rich and sticking up for workers. Yeah, that's easy. You can do that in a few seconds, right? But look at the projects they actually invest the time in. It's military campaigns. It's quite funny. Stop the War is literally promoting military campaigns 100% of the time. They're invested in military campaigns. They oppose some, they support others, they come up with excuses for others, but all predictably marked out. You can tell, doesn't matter who starts a war, you can always tell which side they'll be on by whether it's an anti-Western force or a Western force. Doesn't matter who the aggressor is, because that's what they really care about. It's not workers' rights, otherwise they'd be promoting the new workers' rights coming online. It's not tax policy, or they'd actually be promoting the fact that Rachel Reeves has raised tens of billions of pounds extra on the rich, exclusively on the rich. They're not talking about that. They're not saying, oh, this is actually a really good start, but she should do more. No. They're not even talking about that. So they don't care about tax policy either. They don't care about environmental standards. Their only concern is for those who should literally rule the world. They think they're thinking on that scale. Who should literally rule the world. So they wouldn't get on in the Green Party for long either. Much better to form their own party. Then one of three things will happen. First, they'll be shit and nothing will happen. Second, they'll be effective and let Nigel Farage run the country for a bit. Third, Labour will sort themselves out and initiate electoral reform before their time runs out. And this new party will then have a choice: either learn to compromise for the first time in their lives and get a seat at the table, or carry on sitting in the corner being mad at the world. But let me know what you think in the comments below. And for more content, you could subscribe to the channel or even join for access to streams and behind the scenes updates. Thanks for watching. Until next time, I'll see you later.